this is Julie from Sparklettes Art, and I am here to show you how to draw a really simple but really pretty seahorse today. What you're going to need is you're going to need a piece of colored paper. Now, I did this one on a large piece of paper, but if you have a small piece of paper, like the size that you'd normally draw on, that's exactly what you need. Now, if you have a bright color, or any color actually, even better instead of white. Sometimes it lends just a different quality or a different look to your piece if you start on a different colored piece of paper. So I'm going to be using bright green today, but you can use whatever you have. Now you might be wondering how I got this seahorse to shimmer, and I'm going to show you what I use. Now these are called metallic gel crayons. So you might have metallic oil pastels, or you might have the something called Kwik stix, and this is a little bit of what they are. And you can do this project with just crayons, or you can do it with markers, but I'm going to show you how these work. So these are the metallic ones, and then here's the regular ones, and you can see that they come in a lot of different colors. So I'm going to use these today, but if you just have crayons or you have markers and you want to draw a seahorse, then don't let that stop you ever. Don't let the lack of supplies stop you from creating. So I'm going to put my seahorse to the side, and I'm going to get out my piece of paper. Now you can see my piece of paper has a crease running through it. So instead of recycling it and saying that this paper is no good, I'm going to use this piece of paper because I think that my project is going to look just as beautiful even though it has a little crease running down the middle. I am going to get out my black to start with my outline for my seahorse, and you can see that there's a cap and then they twist just like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the head, and I'm going to put the head, if I make the head too big, then my seahorse body is probably going to be too tiny, or I'd have to draw it going off the page. So as I'm drawing the head, I want to make sure that my head doesn't take up all the paper. And sometimes one of the best ways to do that is to fold your paper in half, just lightly. And then I know that my head cannot be bigger. It cannot go underneath this crease that I just made. So I'm going to start above the crease, and I'm going to draw just a little tiny line. And then I'm going to draw a shape that's almost going to look like a balloon that's just starting to get inflated. So I'm going to draw, see, there's my balloon, just like that. So that is the seahorse's head. So now I'm going to start working on his body, and I'm going to come to this side, that's kind of the top of the balloon, and I'm going to draw a line going down, and it's going to come up, and it's going to spiral. And then I'm going to come back up to do the main part of the body, and I'm going to come down until I'm almost hitting the first line, and then I'm going to start to spiral. And I'm going to have these lines join up right at that tip. Now he looks a little silly right now because he's missing his belly, so we're going to go ahead and add that. So right where that line meets the head, I'm going to start there, and I'm going to draw a curved line. Now your line might run into your tail like mine is, and I'm going to go through the tail, and there I'm going to finish the belly. So if your line gets in the way, instead of drawing your line through the tail, make sure that you stop. You can use your finger to go through just so you know where that line would come out. Draw a little bit more, go through, and finish the belly. And I'm going to go ahead and give my seahorse belly some stripes. Now I'm going to give him a little tiny fin over here, and I'm going to draw a couple of angled lines. And then I'm going to draw a curved line, a curved line, and a curved line, like little U's. And I'll go ahead and give that some fin marks by adding some little short lines inside. I'm going to go ahead now and add his eye. You can add whatever kind of eye you want. I like to add this kind of eye lately because it just looks happy. So he's missing his little spikes. And you can see that with these, you see how it's smearing a little bit? And sometimes your art materials might smear, but it's okay. Your art's still gonna look absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and add his spikes. I'm gonna start right above his eye, and I'm gonna give him his seahorse spikes. And I'm gonna go all the way down his back by doing a zigzag line. And I'm gonna end right before his tail starts to spiral. And look at that, I already have a seahorse. So if you want, you can go ahead and you can add some polka dots. If you want to give him some designs, you can add them through the tail. But you have this cute little seahorse. Now I want to fill up the rest of my paper. So you might choose to do some seaweed in the background, but one of the things I love to do lately is just make some really beautifully colored bubbles. So when I make my bubble, I'm going to do something very important. I'm not going to draw an entire circle. I'm going to draw a circle that looks like I forgot to close it. So I'm going to start up here and I'm going to start drawing my circle. But then I'm going to stop, just like that. Almost looks like I forgot to finish my circle, but I'm going to leave it just like that. And I'm going to draw 2 short lines and then 2 curved lines for the reflection that the bubble is making. And I'm going to go ahead and add a few more bubbles on my piece of paper. I'm going to do one again here. And again, I'm going to start drawing my circle, and then I'm going to leave it open. And that little line here, this little reflection point, the only place you don't want it to be is right where that opening is. So if you put this reflection point, this little line, this little shape down here or over here, that's okay. You just don't want to have it right there. So I have this circle right here and the opening's here, so I can add that reflection shape anywhere else that I want. And I'm going to go ahead and add some more bubbles. So I'm going to do a really big one down here. And this one, whoop, it went off the page. It'll come back up. And again, I'm leaving it open. I'm going to add my reflection line. Maybe add another one over here. And this time the opening's at the top. So I'm going to add that reflection point down here. And I think maybe I'll add one more because I like to have an odd number. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think I'm going to add another small one right here. There we go. Now I'm going to fill in some space right now with some black polka dots before I start adding my color to my seahorse. Now you can see that I don't have to press very hard with these, and I get some really dark colors. It's my polka dots. Maybe some bigger polka dots. So maybe I'll come back and make some of these a little bit bigger. Go over here, make this one a little bit bigger. There we go. Now I'm ready to add some color. So I'm not going to put this black one away just yet because this black one is really good for going back over the colors and outlining it. I'm going to show you what the metallic ones look like. So I'm going to choose this color right here to start coloring my seahorse. So as I'm coloring him, I might accidentally touch the black and it might smear a little bit, but that's okay. And you can see that it gives a shimmer. So I'm going and making this seahorse kind of this pale blue, almost like a robin's egg blue. Now here's what I meant about keeping the black out. So even if you're careful, you might accidentally, do you see how I went over the eye? It's especially hard to avoid the eye when you just have a line. So when you go over your seahorse here, at the very end, we're going to come back and we're going to re-outline those lines so they're nice and dark. So I'm going to give him the same color body as I did the head. And one thing I like about these gel crayons is that they color really easily. My hand doesn't get as tired as they can get from coloring with regular crayons. But if regular crayons is all you have, then I bet you your seahorse is still going to look absolutely beautiful. You might even want to find the silver or the gold crayon in your crayon box and use that. Okay, there's the main part of my seahorse, and he is shimmery. So I'm going to go ahead, you know, I think I'm going to add this color to a few of the stripes too. Maybe one there and one here. Okay, so let's figure out what other colors I want to do. I think because my background is green, I'm going to stick to colors that aren't green. So I'm going to use this purple now, and I'm going to come and do his spikes. And of course, if I have purple spikes, I'm probably going to want to take this color and use it somewhere else in my picture. So I'm going to use my purple right here underneath this turquoise one, and there's a turquoise one, so I'm going to put the purple underneath there as well. And maybe I'll make this fin purple. Now he's got a couple more stripes, so maybe I'll choose a third color. Let's see, maybe I have a pink, and I'm going to use my pink and come in and do the rest of the stripes because these are still shimmery. Do you see that? Now you can see that my black lines are looking a little bit messy. So at the very end, I'm going to come back and I'm going to retrace those. But you see my seahorse is done. Now my seahorse, I use colors. I use blues and purples and pinks. So I'm going to choose completely different colors for my bubbles. Now I'm going to switch over to not shiny colors. So here's my not shiny colors. And I'm going to pick out maybe a yellow and an orange to do my bubbles with. Now when I'm doing my bubbles, I'm going to only color up to the point where that opening is. So I'm going to start here, and you'll notice that this yellow colors right over the green paper. Go around the other side, and I'm going to stop right about there. And with these, you can even use your finger to just spread the color a little bit. So I'm going to come down here and make this one yellow too. Go underneath that reflection point of the bubble. I'm going to stop right around here, and then I can use my finger to kind of smear it in. And if you're using a crayon or a marker, then just stop close to that opening. Now I'm going to use, let's see, I think I'm going to do one more yellow. I'm going to do this one yellow. So there's my yellow. And I'm going to move that color in, and I'm going to put my yellow away, and now I'm going to start with my orange. Okay, and I think what we're going to do is go after these big bubbles and make them bright orange, and it's really going to contrast the seahorse. And contrast is when something is kind of the opposite. So we have this cool colored seahorse. He almost looks like he's the colors of ice, right? And I have these warm color bubbles. That means they're the colors of fire. And I can use my finger and just smear it out a little bit. So it gets a little bit softer. And then I'm going to color my last bubble. Coming up here, I'm stopping close to that opening. I'm spreading the color a little bit. And then I bet you remember the thing that I have to do last is I have to get out my black and I'm going to go and trace the lines. Now I want you to take a look. Do you see this line right here? How it's almost more blue than black because I kind of did a messy job coloring over it. So that's why I'm going to get out my black again. And I'm going to go through. Now some of these lines might be okay, so you can retrace those again. But do you see how the black went right over that turquoise? And I'm going to go nice and slow. I'm going to come down here, nice and slow. Redo the belly stripes because the belly stripes really got messy. Redo the tail. So you're just tracing over your black lines again, making it look extra pretty. Oh, I almost forgot the eye, so let's redo his eye. There we go. Now my seahorse can see again. And then you can take a look and see if any of your bubbles, whoops, I forgot my fin too. Let's give that fin the stripes back. And some of these polka dots. Okay, I think I got everything now. Except for that. See, there's always something, if you really go back and look at your work, that you probably can do a little bit better. So I see one bubble where I can't see that reflection point anymore. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to redo that. To the outside edge of this bubble, and then you're done. You have this beautiful shimmery seahorse. Now, if you don't remember, these particular crayons that I'm using are Faber-Castell metallic gel crayons, but if you have Kwik sticks, those tempera paint sticks, or if you have metallic crayons, or if you have markers, you can use any of those to create this beautiful seahorse. So I just wanted to show you a different material to use, but don't let the material stop you. If you don't have these, then use something else and just keep creating. Thanks for joining me on this one, and I can't wait to see you on the next art lesson.